he is...
Not Mr. Elton. No, Mr. Martin, my friend. Is it a good letter or too short?
It is a good letter. One of his sisters must have helped him. Yet it is not the style of a woman. Well, it is a good letter. And you must answer it immediately. You must have his disappointment and move on.
Well, you think I should refuse him?
You did not plan to return an answer favourable to this claim.
No, I did not. That is, I did not mean... Well, I was not sure. That is why I came to you.
Oh, it's not my place to intrude.
Oh, but I depend so on what you think.
I would not advise you for the world. If you prefer Mr. Martin to every other person you know or may ever know, if you think him the most agreeable man you have ever been or ever will be in company with, then why should you hesitate?
But if you will not influence me, I must do as well as I can by myself. So... Well, I am determined to. And I have really almost made up my mind to... refuse, Mr. Martin? Oh, do you think that's right or wrong? Is it wrong?
Now that you have decided, I will share the feelings I kept you in suspense of. I think you are perfectly right.
Yes, but, oh dear, it will make his mother and sisters most unhappy.
Let us think of other mothers and sisters who may be more cheerfully employed at this moment. I believe Mr. Elton is showing your picture to his mother and sisters, telling them how the subject is more beautiful than the portrait.
And if he shows it, I'm sure it is only to praise your artistry.
If you are sure, then you are surely wrong. By showing it to them, he is revealing his deeper intentions, which may produce a letter of his own.
Very well, I admit it. You have improved, Harriet Smith.
I hope you're not the only man to have noticed.
I'm not. I believe your friend will soon hear something serious. Something to her advantage.
Who makes you his confidant?
I have reason to believe that Harriet Smith will soon receive an offer of marriage from a man desperately in love with her. Robert Martin. He came here 2 evenings ago to consult about it. He's a tenant, you know, and a good friend. He asked whether it would be imprudent of him to settle so early, whether she was too young or whether he was beneath her.
Better questions for Mr. Martin. I could not have chosen myself.
I never hear better sense from anyone than from Robert Martin. He proved he could afford to marry, and I said he could not do better.
No, indeed. He could not. Come. I will tell you something in return. He wrote to Harriet yesterday.
Oh, yes?
Yes. He was refused.
Not sure I understand.
He asked, and she refused.
Then she is a greater simpleton than I believed.
The most incomprehensible thing in the world to a man is a woman who rejects his offer of marriage.
I do not comprehend it because it is madness. I hope you're wrong.
I could not be. I saw her answer.
You saw her answer? Emma? You wrote her answer, didn't you?
If I did, I would have done no wrong. He is not Harriet's equal.
I agree, he is not her equal.
Good.
He is her superior in sense and situation. What are Harriet Smith's claims of birth or education that make her higher than Robert Martin? She is the natural daughter of nobody knows whom. The advantage of the match was entirely on her side.
What? A farmer? Even with all his merit, a match for my dear friend. It would be a degradation for her to marry a person whom I could not admit as my own acquaintance.
A degradation? For illegitimacy and ignorance to marry to a respected, intelligent farmer?
She is a gentleman's daughter.
Whoever her parents, they made no plans to introduce her into good society. She was left with Mrs. Goddard for an indifferent education. Her friends evidently thought this was good enough for her, and it was. And she thought so too until you began to puff her up. Vanity working on a weak mind produces every kind of mischief.
You dismiss her beauty and good nature, yet I would be very much mistaken if your sex in general does not think those claims the highest a woman could possess.
Men of sense, whatever you may say, do not want silly wives. On my word, Emma. Better be without sense than misapply it as you do. Try not to kill my dogs.
We see so differently on this point that there can be no use canvassing it. We shall only make each other angry.